Ever catch yourself wondering if there's more to life than the endless cycle of work, stress, and waiting for the weekend? Like you're stuck trading your most valuable resource, time, for a paycheck that never quite feels like enough? This book is here to change that story. It's not just another guide on making money or working harder. It's a blueprint for breaking free from the old rules that keep us chained to jobs and obligations we don't love. You'll discover how to redesign your life around what truly matters: freedom, mobility, and purpose. Imagine waking up each day excited because you control your schedule, your work supports your goals, and you have the space to explore, create, and enjoy life fully. No more postponing happiness for some far off retirement or taking brief vacations to escape burnout. This book shows you how to live intentionally every single day. If you're tired of the grind and ready to build a life that works for you, not the other way around, then this is your starting point. Ever catch yourself wondering if there's more to life than the endless cycle of work, stress, and waiting for the weekend? Like you're stuck trading your most valuable resource, time, for a paycheck that never quite feels like enough? It's time to break free from the old rules that keep us chained to jobs and obligations we don't love. Imagine waking up each day excited because you control your schedule, your work supports your goals, and you have the space to explore, create, and enjoy life fully. No more postponing happiness for some far-off retirement or taking brief vacations to escape burnout. Living intentionally every single day means designing freedom, mobility, and purpose into your life right now. If the grind has worn you down and you're ready to build a life that works for you, not the other way around, this is where it begins. First section, D is for definition. Chapter 1, Cautions and Comparisons, How to Burn the Rules. At one point in my life, I had everything I thought I wanted. The business was booming, the income was solid, and on paper, I looked like the definition of success. But something was off. I was working 80 hours a week, constantly stressed, and had no time to enjoy the so-called fruits of my labor. I was tired, worn out, and stuck on a hamster wheel I had built for myself. It hit me hard. If this was success, I didn't want it. The biggest problem wasn't the hours or the work. It was the assumptions I had been carrying all my life. Everything I had been taught growing up: get good grades, get a good job, work hard for decades, then retire and live your life, turned out to be a script designed for a different era, an outdated playbook. And I was following it blindly, like most people do, without stopping to ask if the game was worth playing. That's where I decided to start over, not just by changing what I did, but by tearing up the rules entirely and rewriting them from scratch. The first realization was simple but brutal. Most people don't really want to be millionaires. They want what they think only millionaires can have: freedom, time, flexibility, and the ability to do what they want, when they want, with whom they want. But you don't need millions to do that. What you need is clarity and a new way to approach life. There are two kinds of people: the ones who postpone life and the ones who design it. The deferrers and the designers. The deferrers are stuck in the loop, working for the weekend, saving for retirement, clinging to job security while silently dreaming of escape. Their lives are built around waiting. Waiting for the promotion, waiting for the right time, waiting until the kids grow up, waiting for someday. The designers, on the other hand, take control early. They don't wait. They build a system that lets them live now, not 30 years later when they're too old or too sick to enjoy it. They aren't necessarily rich in the traditional sense, but they're rich in the only way that really matters. They have time and freedom. When I finally started asking different questions, everything changed. Instead of asking, how can I make more money? I asked, how can I live more and work less? Instead of asking, how can I climb the ladder? I asked, why am I on this ladder in the first place? Those questions made all the difference. They forced me to think about what I actually wanted, not what I was told I should want. One of the most dangerous things in modern life is being busy, not productive, just busy. People wear it like a badge of honor. But being busy is often just a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and blind action. It means you're doing a lot, but not necessarily the right things. It's a way to avoid the few truly important decisions by staying occupied with the trivial. I was guilty of that too. I was managing emails, putting out fires, juggling clients, doing everything except the one thing that would have moved me forward, stepping back, designing a better system, and cutting the unnecessary. I had confused movement with progress. It took me a long time to admit that to myself. Once I saw the trap, I knew I had to step out of it. That meant challenging all the old beliefs. The idea that hard work always pays off, that you need to suffer now to enjoy life later, that financial freedom comes only after decades of sacrifice. None of those ideas hold up when you really break them down. I started looking for loopholes, ways to break the rules without breaking myself. I found that the world was full of them: tools, technologies, strategies that allowed you to decouple income from time, to live in places where your money stretches further, and to automate work you didn't need to be doing yourself. I realized the game wasn't about working harder. It was about working smarter, then walking away from the parts of work that weren't necessary. People think the goal is retirement, but what they really want isn't to stop working. They want to stop wasting time. They want to spend more of it doing things that matter: traveling, creating, spending time with family, learning, exploring, or just doing nothing at all. Retirement is a broken concept. It assumes that you sacrifice the best years of your life so you can maybe enjoy what's left of them when your health is failing. That's not a plan. That's a slow bleed. Instead of saving up for a single retirement, I started taking mini retirements: 1 month here, 3 months there, living in Argentina, dancing tango in the streets, learning languages, training in Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the afternoons, running a business with a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. My life became a string of intentional choices, not something I had to wait for permission to live. None of it required me to be rich. It required me to be clear and ruthless about cutting what didn't serve me. That's where most people hesitate. They're afraid of letting go of the job title, the busy schedule, the illusion of productivity. But what they don't realize is that they're trading their lives for that illusion. The real freedom isn't quitting your job. It's quitting the default thinking. It's waking up from the autopilot script and deciding what your day, your week, your year should actually look like. It's the ability to choose how you spend your time without being chained to a desk, a boss, or a schedule that drains you. To do that, you have to define your own metrics: not money, not prestige, but freedom, mobility, peace, excitement, learning. If your life is rich in those things, then the money becomes a tool, not the goal. The first step is recognizing that you have a choice, that the old model of success is optional, not mandatory. You can burn it, you can start over, you can build something leaner, faster, freer. Most people don't, not because they can't, but because they're afraid to challenge what they've been told. They're afraid of judgment, of failure, of not knowing what comes next. But fear is a compass. It points to where the growth is. Every big change in my life started with fear, and every single one was worth it. This isn't about escaping responsibility. It's about taking the right kind of responsibility over your time, your energy, your focus, over your life. It starts with asking better questions, and it starts with burning everything that doesn't serve the life you actually want to live. Not someday, but now. First section, step 1, D is for definition. Chapter 1, Cautions and Comparisons: How to Burn the Old Rules. There was a time when my calendar was full, my email never stopped, and my bank account looked healthy enough to make people jealous. I had built a business from scratch, worked myself into the ground to grow it, and became a person others pointed to as successful. But behind the curtain, the truth was uglier. I was exhausted. I was a slave to my own creation. I had built a machine I couldn't escape from, and every day felt like an endless loop of tasks, deadlines, and pretending everything was under control. I realized I was stuck inside a system that rewarded stress and applauded busyness. Everywhere I looked, people seemed to be on the same path: working more hours, chasing more promotions, putting off what they loved until retirement. And the worst part was, they believed this was normal, expected, even. It was the cost of success. I started to wonder who had written these rules and why everyone was so eager to follow them. That question became the crack in the wall. Growing up, I was taught the standard formula: get good grades, go to college, land a job, climb the ladder, save for retirement, and then, finally, enjoy life. But there was something about that timeline that never sat right with me. Why delay the best parts of life until the end? Why give up the now for a someday that might never come? The more I thought about it, the more I saw it for what it was, a broken script, and I decided to throw it out. I started by examining what people really want. Not the surface answers, but the truth beneath. When people say they want to be millionaires, what they're really chasing isn't the money. It's the freedom they believe money can buy. They want to wake up without an alarm clock, travel whenever they feel like it, spend time with people they care about, and pursue the things that make them feel alive. That's not about dollar amounts. That's about time and control. So I stopped chasing money for its own sake. I focused on redesigning my lifestyle, reducing unnecessary obligations, simplifying my business, outsourcing what didn't need my touch, and creating systems that worked without me. I called this new approach the life of the new rich. It wasn't about working 80-hour weeks to buy a Ferrari. It was about freeing up 80 hours to go live in Brazil, learn a new language, or read in the middle of a Tuesday. The difference between the average worker and the new rich comes down to one word: definition. The average worker defines success by income and titles. The new rich defines success by autonomy. I no longer cared how big my company was or how many people worked for me. I cared about how much time I had for the things that made me feel alive: travel, learning, relationships, creating, peace of mind. I also realized that being busy is not a badge of honor. It's often a sign of inefficiency. People pride themselves on multitasking, long hours, packed schedules, but real power comes from doing less, not more, from focusing only on the essential and cutting everything else without guilt. I became obsessed with elimination, removing meetings, removing excess communication, removing tasks that had no real impact. Suddenly, my workload shrank, but my results improved. The traditional work model is built on the idea of constant effort. Put in more hours, get more output. But that model ignores the law of diminishing returns. At a certain point, more effort doesn't mean better results. It means burnout. So I started asking a different question. What is the minimum effective dose? What is the least I can do to get the outcome I want? It felt radical at first, but it worked. I began to see that most of what people do in a day isn't necessary. They spend hours answering emails that don't matter, attending meetings that solve nothing, and reacting to every ping, ding, ding, and notification. I turned off the noise. I checked email once a day. I trained clients and colleagues to respect boundaries. I stopped pretending everything was urgent, and nothing fell apart. The other big shift came when I challenged the idea of retirement itself. Why wait until old age to enjoy life? What if I could take mini retirements now throughout my life instead of saving everything for later? So I did. I moved to Argentina. I studied tango. I worked 4 hours a week and spent the rest of my time living. The world didn't collapse. My business didn't die. In fact, it grew because I wasn't burning myself out anymore. Fear was the biggest obstacle. The fear of what people would think, the fear of giving up a normal path, the fear of losing everything I had built. But I realized that fear is often a compass pointing directly at the thing that matters most. If something scares me, it's usually because it matters. And the fear of regret, of looking back at my life and realizing I had wasted it, that was far worse than the fear of taking a risk. I asked myself uncomfortable questions. What if I die before retirement? What if I spend the next 40 years doing something I hate just to be safe? What if safety is the most dangerous trap of all? The answers weren't pleasant, but they were clarifying. I stopped waiting for permission. I started building a life that didn't need to be escaped from. Most people are not lazy. They're just following a path that doesn't make sense anymore. They've never stopped to ask if the rules they're living by are the right ones. They assume that long hours, deferred dreams, and stress are the price of success. But it doesn't have to be that way. I learned that you can earn a full-time income with a part-time schedule if you're willing to question the defaults. You can live in places where your money goes further. You can outsource tasks that drain you. You can automate income. You can design your day instead of having it designed for you. All of it is possible, but only if you step off the track and build something better. It starts with awareness, looking at your current life and asking, who designed this? Is it working for me? Would I choose it again? If not, What am I still doing here? Then it takes courage. The courage to break free from what everyone else is doing, the courage to make your own rules, the courage to be misunderstood. Not everyone will get it. Some people will call you lazy, reckless, unrealistic. Let them. They're still playing by old rules. You've got a new game to play. And finally, it takes clarity, defining what matters. Not someday, but now. Getting specific about what you want your life to look like, where you live, how you spend your time, who you spend it with, then working backward from that vision to make it real. Everything changed when I stopped asking, how can I fit life around work, and started asking, how can I fit work around life? That shift in mindset opened the door to a different kind of success, one that doesn't require sacrifice, one that doesn't make you wait until you're 65 to be free. Success isn't about more. It's about better use of time, better design of life, better alignment with your values, and it all starts the moment you stop following the rules written by someone else and begin writing your own. Chapter 2, Rules That Change the Rules. Everything popular is wrong. Everything I had been taught growing up felt solid, structured, even noble. I was told to study hard, go to college, get a job, work my way up, and someday I'd be rewarded with freedom, wealth, and peace of mind. But as I looked deeper, the whole framework began to fall apart. I realized that most people aren't living their dreams. They're settling for survival, even when they look successful from the outside. The truth is unsettling. Most of what's considered normal is completely broken. The popular rules, the well-worn path, the ideas that are passed down without question, they lead straight to mediocrity. Look at the average person's life. Are they energized? Are they doing what they love? Are they even remotely free? For most, the answer is no. They're locked into a life of quiet compromise, stuck in systems that were built for a different era. Systems that reward obedience, not creativity. Systems that favor control over autonomy. Everything popular is wrong. The assumption that working more equals achieving more is one of the most toxic lies we've ever embraced. People burn out chasing promotions, thinking more money or a better title will finally make it all feel worth it. But no matter how much you earn or how high you climb, if your time isn't your own, you're still poor. Because real wealth isn't measured in income, it's measured in freedom. It's uncomfortable to admit, but most people don't question the script because they're afraid of what they'll find. If the rules are wrong, what then? What do you fall back on when the structure collapses? That's why so many settle for the familiar struggle. They prefer a predictable cage over the uncertainty of freedom. But once I started challenging the norms, I saw how arbitrary the whole system really is. Why do people work from 9 to 5? Why 5 days a week? Why are we expected to ask for permission to take a vacation, or to visit a dying parent, or to go live abroad for a few months? Why is it acceptable to sacrifice your health, your time, and your joy just to stay employed? These routines weren't created with human fulfillment in mind. They were built during the industrial era, designed for factories, machines, and maximum output. That model doesn't belong in a world where you can start a business from your laptop, reach a global market in seconds, and automate work you used to trade hours for. Most people operate in a way that's decades behind the reality of what's possible. The education system teaches compliance, not initiative. It rewards memorization, not problem solving. It grooms people to be good employees, not free thinkers. You're told to pick a safe major, follow a stable career path, and never take too many risks. The irony is, playing it safe has become the most dangerous move of all. It's how you end up 40 years down a road you never wanted to be on, wondering how you got there. When I graduated from Princeton, I didn't follow the typical path. I tried a few different routes, built a business, then lost control of it, then rebuilt it smarter. But in that process, I was forced to question everything. Why do I have to work 40 plus hours a week? Why do I need to be in a specific location? Why is constant stress considered normal? What I found was that every assumption could be reversed. Instead of asking, how can I work more efficiently in the office? I asked, how can I never need to go to the office again? Instead of wondering, how can I afford a 2-week vacation? I asked, how can I design my life to feel like a vacation all year? When you stop accepting the rules as fixed and start rewriting them, doors fly open. The key is realizing that the cost of following the crowd is your life. The crowd is not winning. The crowd is surviving. They're stuck in traffic, sitting in meetings, answering emails, scrolling social media in their few free moments, hoping things will magically get better later. But if you want a different life, you have to live differently. There's no prize for playing the default game well. You can be the best employee in your department and still hate your life. You can save every penny and still miss out on the experiences that give your life color. You can be praised for your discipline and still be sleepwalking through your own story. When you understand that, you stop chasing approval. You stop trying to fit into a system designed to keep you stuck. And you start designing your own rules. I built a life that doesn't rely on a fixed schedule. I automated my income, reduced my workload, and created systems that allow me to work from anywhere. My business didn't collapse. It thrived. Because when I removed myself from the center of every decision, I made space for smarter solutions. Most people think success means grinding longer, trying harder, pushing further. But in reality, success often means removing, cutting, questioning, simplifying, letting go of things that don't matter, delegating the rest, and only focusing on what moves the needle. Popular belief says you need to earn your freedom by working your way up. I found that freedom is available now if you stop playing by everyone else's rules. Take the idea of retirement. Most people save for it, dream about it, fantasize about it. But why postpone life? Why not break it into pieces, mini retirements throughout life, instead of one massive break at the end? Why not move to another country, explore new passions, or spend 6 months doing something that excites you? The reason most don't is because they're stuck in a mindset that says you haven't earned that yet. But who decides when you've earned your own life? If you don't set your own rules, someone else will. Employers, banks, social pressure, expectations. They'll tell you how to spend your time, what to value, what success looks like, and none of it will reflect what actually makes you feel alive. The moment I stopped trying to win at the traditional game was the moment I started actually living. I stopped waiting for permission. I stopped asking, what should I do? And started asking, what do I want? I didn't need to wait until I had millions in the bank. I needed to define my ideal lifestyle, calculate the cost, and build a system to support it. Often, it cost far less than people imagine. Living abroad, working 4 hours a week, delegating tasks, traveling while earning. It's not fantasy. It's mechanics. It's a different playbook. And it begins with one simple decision. Stop assuming that what everyone else is doing is right. Popularity is not proof of truth. If anything, it's usually a red flag. If you look at the average person and don't want their life, then why would you follow their path? Everything popular is wrong because it was built on outdated needs, on conformity, on obedience, on making people predictable and controllable. But that system wasn't designed to make people happy or fulfilled or free. It was designed to make them useful cogs in a larger machine. You're not a cog. You don't have to be. You can work from anywhere. You can earn money while you sleep. You can spend your time doing what excites you instead of what drains you. But none of that happens until you reject the default rules. Once I realized that, there was no going back. I didn't want the corner office. I wanted the freedom to disappear for 6 weeks and learn to surf. I didn't want job security. I wanted location independence. I didn't want more meetings. I wanted more silence, more stillness, more time to think, create, and live. It was all possible, but only after I stopped believing what everyone else believed. And that's the heart of it. The rules you live by will define the life you get. If the rules are broken, following them well won't save you. You have to write new rules, ones that put your time, energy, and dreams at the center, not your obligations, not your boss, not what society expects. Once you do that, everything changes, and you'll wonder why you ever believed the old lies to begin with. Chapter 3, Dodging Bullets, Fear Setting and Escaping Paralysis. There's a myth we all buy into without realizing it, that fear is a signal to stop, that it's a red light, something to obey. Most people think avoiding fear means they're being smart, cautious, responsible, mature. But that's not what fear is. Fear is not the problem, paralysis is. What paralyzes people isn't the situation, it's the story they tell themselves about what could go wrong. That story, left unchecked, becomes a mental prison. one you don't even realize you're living in. Fear itself is rarely fatal. What kills dreams is the assumption that risk equals danger and that discomfort equals disaster. That's where most people stay stuck, in the gray area of what ifs. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I lose everything? What if it all goes wrong? They never ask the better question, what if it works? When I hit my breaking point years ago, working 80-hour weeks, trapped in a company that no longer felt like mine, exhausted by the same routine, I knew something had to change. But I didn't know how to change it. I was afraid of stepping back, afraid of letting go, afraid of what might happen if I stopped running full speed. I knew I was drowning, but the fear of quitting was worse than the misery of staying. That's when I discovered something that changed my life. Fear setting. Everyone talks about goal setting. Write down what you want, visualize it, chase it. But what about what you're avoiding? What about the things that keep you stuck because you're too scared to even speak them aloud? That's where fear setting comes in. It's a tool not just for planning your next move, but for disarming the paralysis that stops you from ever taking the first step. I began asking myself, what am I really afraid of? Most people say they're afraid of failure, but they never define what failure actually means. They let fear stay vague, and vague fear is far more dangerous than clear danger. So I forced myself to spell it out. I wrote down the absolute worst-case scenarios that could happen if I took a risk, if I quit my business, if I walked away, if I tried something totally different. What's the worst that could happen? That's the first step of fear setting. Define the nightmare in vivid detail. Not to psych yourself out, but to see the enemy in the light. Maybe you lose money, maybe you disappoint someone, maybe you feel embarrassed. Fine, write it all down. Next, I asked, what could I do to prevent this from happening? Almost always there are steps, backup plans, mitigation strategies, lifelines you can prepare before taking the leap. We convince ourselves that risk is uncontrollable, but that's a lie. Most risk is manageable once you look it in the eye. And finally, I asked the most important question. If the worst happened, how would I recover? That's where the illusion started to fall apart. Even in my worst case scenario, the damage wasn't permanent. If I quit my business and it bombed, I could find another job, I could freelance, I could rebuild. My worst case life wasn't homelessness and shame, it was temporary discomfort and ego bruising. That's it. And for that small potential pain, I was giving up the possibility of total freedom. Suddenly, the risk didn't seem so risky. Fear setting flips the mental model. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you examine it, you test it, you strip it of its power. Once I did that, I realized something that shook me. The real danger wasn't doing something risky. The real danger was continuing on the path I was already on. What people call stability is often just inertia in disguise. You stay in a job you hate because the paycheck is predictable. You keep a lifestyle you loathe because it's what people expect. But deep down, the cost is enormous. Lost time, lost energy, lost potential. If you're afraid of change, ask yourself, how will I feel if nothing changes? Fast forward 6 months, a year, 5 years. Imagine being in the exact same place with the exact same problems, watching the clock run out. That's when fear stops being a reason to stay still and becomes the reason to move. One of the most dangerous delusions is that we have time. We act like there's always a later, another chance, another phase, a future where we'll finally get around to the things we want. But for most people, later becomes never. Not because they ran out of options, but because they never dared to take the first one. I thought of all the excuses I'd made. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough experience. I don't have time. I don't know where to start. None of them were true. They were just shields I used to justify my fear. Fear makes us creative, but not in a good way. It makes us invent reasons to stay stuck. But once you go through the process of fear setting, those excuses start to look weak. You realize you've been arguing for your limitations. And when you do that, you get to keep them. So after defining the worst case scenario and seeing that it wasn't life-ending, I moved on to another question. What's the upside? What's the best case scenario if this works? What's the potential reward, not just in money, but in time, in fulfillment, in freedom? That's where everything clicked. If I automated my business, if I removed myself from the daily operations, if I created systems to replace my constant presence, I could actually live. I could travel. I could read. I could create. I could explore passions I hadn't touched in years. The upside wasn't just income without work. It was a life I didn't need to escape from. And even if it didn't work perfectly, even if I only got part of that, it would still be worth it. Most people underestimate how quickly they can recover from failure and how much regret they'll feel for never trying. The pain of failing is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. That's what makes fear setting so powerful. It turns vague dread into clear-eyed decision-making. There's a Latin quote that hit me like a punch in the gut. Many a false step was made by standing still. We think inaction is safe, but it's often the most dangerous choice of all. Every time you delay your life for fear of what might go wrong, you're guaranteeing that nothing will go right. So I stopped asking, what if I fail? And started asking, what happens if I don't try? The honest answer? I'd still be stuck in a business I hated, still drowning in stress, still faking a smile when people congratulated me on my success. That wasn't a life. That was a slow death. So I took the leap. I automated, outsourced, eliminated, and escaped. Not perfectly, not all at once, but I made the move, and I've never looked back. To this day, I still use fear setting before big decisions, before bold moves, not to scare myself, but to clear the fog, to separate real risk from imaginary fear, to remind myself that most monsters disappear when you turn on the light. If you're stuck, if you're hesitating, if you're waiting for a perfect time, it won't come. You don't need more certainty. You need more clarity. You need to stop imagining everything that might go wrong and start defining it. Then face it. Then plan around it. Then ask yourself if staying stuck is really safer than moving forward. Odds are it's not, because the biggest risk isn't failure. The biggest risk is regret. And the bullets we dodge aren't always financial or physical. Sometimes the bullet is the slow bleed of unlived years, of wasted potential, of waking up one day and realizing you were always waiting for a sign, for permission, for the right moment. That moment is now. It always has been. Second section, Step 2, E is for elimination. Chapter 5, The End of Time Management, Illusions and Italians. Time management is a lie, at least the way it's been sold to us. We're told the key to success is squeezing more into our day. Plan better. Wake up earlier. Multitask like a machine. Manage your calendar. Use apps, tools, hacks. But all that does is help you do more of what shouldn't be done in the first place. It's like trying to organize the deck chairs on the Titanic. Pointless if the ship is already sinking. At one point, I believed the lie too. I thought productivity meant maximizing every second. So I packed my schedule, color-coded my calendar, optimized my to-do list. I read every book on efficiency, tried every tool, and ended up overwhelmed by my own system. More time spent managing tasks, less time actually living. That's when it hit me. The problem wasn't that I needed to manage time better. The problem was I was doing too many useless things. Enter elimination. You don't need more hours. You need fewer obligations. You need to subtract, not juggle. Get rid of the 80% of tasks that create almost no results and focus on the few things that matter. The idea is brutal in its simplicity. Stop trying to do everything. Do almost nothing and do it well. I stumbled across a principle that changed everything for me. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, named after Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who observed that 80% of the wealth in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. But it doesn't stop there. This imbalance shows up everywhere. 80% of your outcomes come from 20% of your actions. 80% of your problems come from 20% of your clients. 80% of your profits come from 20% of your products. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I ran the numbers on my own business. 80% of my revenue came from 2 customers, and 80% of my stress came from a few time-wasting, high-maintenance clients who contributed almost nothing to the bottom line. So I fired them. Politely, professionally, but firmly. It was terrifying at first, but within weeks, my stress dropped, my schedule cleared, and my income actually increased. I applied it to everything, which 20% of tasks were producing real results. I doubled down on them, which 80% were just noise. I cut them. No matter how good they looked, how productive they felt, or how long they had been on the list, they were gone. Most people are addicted to being busy. They confuse motion with meaning. They do things just to fill space because empty space is scary. But being busy doesn't mean you're getting anywhere. It just means you're moving. The goal isn't to do more, it's to do less better. You don't need more hours in the day. You need to protect the hours that matter. And that starts with elimination, not efficiency. But here's the catch. Elimination is hard. Not because it's complicated, but because it forces you to make choices, to let go of comfort, to stop doing what's familiar, to say no. That's the real skill. Saying no. Not to others, but to yourself. To your old habits, to your fear of missing out, to your need to look busy. People are terrified of cutting tasks because they feel guilty. They think if I don't do it, I'm being lazy. But the real laziness is doing things that don't matter just because they're easy or habitual. If it doesn't contribute to your goals, your peace, or your freedom, why are you doing it? Let me give it to you straight. If you're working 8, 10, 12 hours a day and still struggling, it's not because you need more hours. It's because you're doing the wrong things. The uncomfortable truth is that most of what you do can be eliminated without any negative effect whatsoever. In fact, cutting those things may be the only way you'll ever have a life. The 80-20 rule isn't about perfection. It's about focus. It's about recognizing that a few actions create almost all of your meaningful results, and most of the rest is fluff. That means if you can identify and amplify those few vital actions, you can earn more, work less, and live better. And it's not just about business. Apply this to every area of life. Look at your relationships. Which ones give you energy? Which ones drain you? Cut the latter, double down on the former. Look at your habits. Which ones move you forward? Which ones just waste time or make you feel numb? Look at your consumption. Which media, apps, or inputs inspire you? Which ones just distract you? The brutal part of elimination is that it forces you to be honest. Brutally honest. You can't hide behind busyness anymore. You can't keep pretending you're overwhelmed because of circumstance. You have to admit that you've been overcomplicating your life because it gave you a false sense of control. Once you stop trying to manage time and start cutting what's unnecessary, everything changes. You don't need an app to fix your schedule. You need the guts to say, this doesn't matter, and then stop doing it. I stopped taking calls from unqualified prospects. I stopped reading news that had no relevance to my goals. I stopped scheduling meetings that could be solved in one email. I stopped checking email 50 times a day. I stopped pretending that more was the answer. The question isn't, how can I fit it all in? The real question is, what should I never be doing in the first place? That's the foundation of elimination. Ruthless clarity. If you want freedom, if you want control over your time, if you want to escape the prison of fake productivity, you have to cut, not rearrange, not reorganize, cut. Here's the punchline. When you eliminate the unnecessary, your life simplifies, but your results multiply. You get more done. You think more clearly. You have room to breathe. You have time for what matters. You stop sprinting toward a goal you never really wanted in the first place. So forget time management. Forget the hustle. Forget the myth that you just need to push harder. You don't need to manage time. You need to eliminate waste. You need to eliminate distractions. You need to eliminate nonsense. You need to eliminate everything that isn't getting you closer to the life you actually want. The Italians figured it out over 100 years ago. The rest of us are just catching up. Welcome to the 20%. This is where freedom lives. Chapter 6, The Low Information Diet, Cultivating Selective Ignorance. We live in a world obsessed with knowing everything. News updates flood our phones by the hour, endless email threads, social media scrolls, podcasts, YouTube, newsletters, blogs, 1,000 voices screaming for attention. And most people? They eat it up. They gorge on information from morning till night, thinking they're becoming smarter, sharper, more prepared. But in reality, they're getting slower, more distracted, and mentally bloated. Information is the new junk food, and just like overeating slows your body, overconsumption of information destroys your mind's ability to focus, think clearly, or take meaningful action. That's why I stopped feeding the addiction. I went on an information fast. I cut off the fire hose. I unsubscribed, unplugged, and turned down the volume. Not because I stopped caring about the world, but because I started caring more about what I could actually do in it. I realized something few people ever confront. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know what matters. Most people are drowning in information and starving for wisdom. They scroll through headlines like addicts looking for a fix. War here, recession there, controversy, outrage, distraction, and they convince themselves they're being informed when in truth, they're just being flooded, mentally hijacked, emotionally manipulated, and worst of all, paralyzed. Because constant input leads to zero output. Let me be clear, I'm not anti-knowledge. I'm anti-noise. The goal isn't ignorance. The goal is selective ignorance, choosing what to ignore ruthlessly, consciously, so you can preserve your energy for what actually matters. Most information is irrelevant, inaccurate, or out of your control. If it's not actionable, it's not worth your attention. Ask yourself this: how often do you consume information and immediately do something with it? Rarely. Almost never. Most of what you read, watch, or hear doesn't lead to action. It just fills your brain with clutter and gives you the illusion of productivity. You read an article on the economy and do nothing. You watch the news and do nothing. You skim through 100 social media posts and do nothing except feel a little more overwhelmed and a little less focused. That's not learning. That's digital self-harm. I stopped reading the news completely. If something important happens, I'll hear about it eventually. If it doesn't affect my business, my relationships, or my goals, I don't need to know it. And if it does, I'll find out through the right people, filtered, timely, and relevant. Not through 24/7 crisis coverage designed to keep me hooked and afraid. I also stopped answering most emails. Most people overestimate the importance of their inbox. They treat every message like a fire. But the truth is, 90% of email is noise. Requests that drain your time, questions that could have been answered with a simple Google search, conversations that go nowhere. So I stopped being reactive. I check email once a day, sometimes once every 2 days. If it's not urgent or useful, I archive it. No guilt, no explanation. Then I turn to media in general. I used to read every magazine article I could get my hands on. Business trends, tech updates, lifestyle blogs, you name it. But it never ended. There was always something new to read, some new angle to consider, some expert opinion to digest. I was constantly learning, but rarely applying. So I asked myself, what would happen if I just stopped? I tested it. For a full week, no reading, no news, no online articles, no industry updates. The result? I got more done in that week than I had in the previous month. My brain cleared up, my ideas sharpened, my stress dropped, and I missed nothing important. That was the turning point. I created a new rule. No information consumption unless it's immediately useful, not potentially useful, not someday useful, immediately. If I'm not using it to solve a problem I'm facing right now, I skip it. This applies to books too. I love reading, but I stopped reading just for the sake of it. If I read a book now, it's because I'm actively applying the lessons. If I'm not taking notes and testing ideas, I'm not reading. Otherwise, it's entertainment dressed up as self-improvement. Same with conversations. If someone starts a debate about politics, gossip, or some topic with zero actionable relevance, I bow out, politely but firmly. My mental energy is limited. I'm not spending it on intellectual ping pong that goes nowhere. People think they need to stay in the loop. That's a trap. Being in the loop means constantly spinning in a circle of half-baked opinions and manufactured urgency. If everyone else is panicking, distracted, or overwhelmed, that's a sign you're on the wrong frequency. Tune out. Get quiet. Protect your bandwidth. Here's a harsh truth. Consuming information feels productive, but it's not. It's only productive when it leads directly to creation, decision-making, or problem-solving. Otherwise, you're just consuming to avoid action. Selective ignorance is not neglect. It's strategy. It's mental discipline. It's the willingness to let go of the false belief that being informed is the same as being intelligent. It's not. In fact, the most successful people I've met have one thing in common. They don't know everything, but they know what to ignore. They know how to filter. They guard their attention like it's gold, because it is. In the modern world, your attention is the most valuable currency you have. That's why I built a low information life. I don't watch the news. I don't follow trends. I don't listen to everyone's opinion. I pick a few trusted sources. I let the rest slide. If there's a problem in my business, I learn just enough to solve it. If I'm trying something new, I gather the minimum information needed to take the first step. Then I move, I act, I test, I adjust. The learning happens through action, not passive reading. You don't need more data, you need more clarity. And clarity comes from subtraction, not addition. You can't hear your own thoughts if you're constantly absorbing someone else's. You can't make bold decisions if your head is filled with clutter. You can't live deliberately if your attention is constantly hijacked by things that don't matter. So here's the challenge. Go on a low information diet. For the next 7 days, cut out the noise. No news. No random blog surfings. No Twitter arguments. No email checks every 10 minutes. No watching videos just to stay sharp. Instead, decide what you actually want to accomplish. Choose 1 or 2 key goals, then consume only what directly helps you achieve them. Cut out the rest. You'll be amazed how fast your brain sharpens. You'll get your focus back. You'll find hours in your day that you didn't know you had. You'll stop feeling behind all the time. And most importantly, you'll stop living in reaction mode. You'll start creating instead of consuming, deciding instead of debating, living instead of observing. That's what selective ignorance gives you: your mind back, your time back, your life back. Because in a world addicted to noise, silence is power. And when you protect your attention, you protect everything. Third section, step 3A, is for automation. Chapter 8, outsourcing life, offloading the rest, and a taste of geo-arbitrage. Freedom isn't just quitting your job or earning more, it's making your life run without you constantly working. Real freedom means your income flows even when you're not paying attention. Your to-do list shrinks because others handle the details, leaving you focused on what truly matters. That's automation, and it begins with outsourcing. I hit a wall when I realized I was the bottleneck in my own life. I was juggling everything, answering emails, fixing every problem, saying yes to things I should have passed on or ignored. I was founder, manager, assistant, janitor, and therapist all rolled into one. It drained me. Then I shifted. I stopped trying to do it all myself. A friend running a multi-million-dollar company worked maybe 10 hours a week and seemed unstoppable. When I asked his secret, he said one word: delegation. Not just handing off small chores, but full-scale outsourcing. Virtual assistants, remote teams, people managing your inbox, laundry, schedules, flight research. I took the plunge. I hired a virtual assistant in India for $4 an hour. Risky? Maybe. But with clear instructions, good systems, and no micromanaging, it worked. In a week, I'd offloaded dozens of tiny time wasters: scheduling, email filtering, research, purchases, reminders, all the stuff that kills your day but adds no value. Stress dropped immediately. I wasn't drowning in details or waking up to 30 pointless emails. I passed it off, and the world didn't fall apart. It got better. The trick isn't finding the perfect assistant, it's building clear systems and releasing control. Most fail because they're vague, give poor instructions, and blame assistants for their own unclear processes. My rule: if I do it more than once, I systematize it. Repeated emails get templates. Travel bookings get videos or checklists. Explain twice, document it once. Goal: make myself obsolete in every repeatable task. I created templates, screen recordings, step-by-step guides, trained assistants to decide independently. They improved. I got free. Outsourcing isn't just time saved, it's leverage multiplied. Consider this: making $50K a year means about $25 per hour. Spending 3 hours daily on tasks you could outsource for $5 per hour wastes $60 daily, $1,800 monthly, because you can't let go. Reclaim those 3 hours for high-impact work: improving your product, finding clients, building systems, or resting to avoid burnout. That's the power of outsourcing. It buys more than time, it buys leverage. It gets better with geo-arbitrage. Most are stuck paying high costs for tasks that could be done cheaper, faster elsewhere. I stopped accepting that I had to live where I worked or pay Western prices. What if I earned dollars but lived on pesos, baht, or rupees? That's geo-arbitrage, using global cost differences to your advantage. Not exploitation, but optimization. Moving support overseas, content formatting, web dev, I found a team in the Philippines ran my backend better and cheaper than one overworked assistant in New York. They thrived: better income, homework, growth opportunities. Win-win. Then I took it further. Why not live somewhere cheaper myself? I flew to Argentina. Living costs were 70% lower than the US, culture rich, and stakes unbeatable. Renting an apartment, working 2-3 hours remotely, I lived well for under $1,000 a month. Best part, business improved. Focused, rested, inspired instead of stressed. Geo arbitrage isn't just financial, it improves your mental and emotional quality of life. People worried it was risky. I asked, isn't staying stuck in a life you hate riskier? Outsourcing and automation reclaim ownership. You stop managing every detail and start designing your life. It opens space for creativity, strategy, rest, and joy. But many never try. Trapped by ego thinking, no one can do it as well as me. That's almost never true. And even if it were, the cost of doing it all yourself is too high. Outsourcing isn't shirking responsibility, it's giving up control where it's unnecessary. Your value comes from vision, not execution. The shift from operator to owner, from employee to investor in your own life. It's not just hiring help or moving abroad, it's mindset. Ask yourself, what can someone else do 80% as well? What tasks don't need doing at all? What am I holding on to out of fear, pride, or habit? Start small. Hire someone to sort email, handle scheduling, format posts. Then grow. Delegate customer service, bookkeeping, research. Over time, the system supports you, not the other way around. Eventually, your business runs with or without you. Your tasks shrink. Your time expands. You wake up and realize you don't have to do anything today. That's freedom. It doesn't require millions or years. Just one mindset shift from doing to designing. Freedom isn't about doing everything better. It's about doing less and doing it with full intention. Automation isn't robots or fancy tech. It's human leverage. Building systems where effort multiplies, not disappears. Wanting freedom isn't laziness. Refusing endless grind isn't entitlement. You're smart to ask, how do I stop being the bottleneck? How do I step back without losing momentum? How do I live more by doing less? Automation answers that. Once you start, there's no going back. Chapter 9, Income Autopilot I, Finding the Muse. The idea of passive income is seductive, money flowing in without constant effort. But behind that fantasy lies a misunderstood truth. Most people chase income the hard way, building businesses that require their time, presence, and constant attention. The real key is to remove yourself from the daily grind and build something that runs without you. That's where the concept of the muse comes in. A muse isn't just a business. It's a low-maintenance, high-leverage machine designed to generate income while you're doing other things, traveling, creating, living. In the beginning, the assumption is that building income means sacrificing life. People believe that to make serious money, you need to work 12-hour days, fundraise, manage teams, and constantly be on. But all that does is create another job. A better paycheck maybe, but still a job. The alternative is to build a system that doesn't rely on your direct input. The goal becomes designing a business that solves a specific problem, sells a clear solution, and requires minimal ongoing involvement. The first step is letting go of the need to follow passion. Passion is unreliable and changes over time. Building a muse doesn't start with what you love. It starts with what people already buy. It begins with finding a narrow but urgent problem that a specific group of people want solved. The best muse ideas aren't revolutionary. They're efficient. They find what people are already spending money on and deliver a better, cheaper, or faster version of it. That's how you create a self-sustaining product. Rather than focusing on a massive market or coming up with a groundbreaking innovation, the focus shifts to identifying a tight niche where customers have money and motivation. It's not about chasing trends or competing in crowded spaces. It's about finding inefficiencies in existing markets and building solutions that slot in naturally. When creating a muse, you don't try to force interest. You identify demand that already exists and offer a product that directly addresses it. In building the first muse, the emphasis is always on speed and simplicity. A product should take less than a month to develop, cost under a few $100s to test, and provide a return with minimal maintenance. This isn't about writing a 300-page book or building a massive software platform from scratch. It's about creating something small but powerful, like a digital guide, a course, a specialized tool, or a curated kit that solves one problem for one group of people. One of the early Muse projects came from recognizing inefficiencies in the fitness world. There were overpriced, overcomplicated workout programs that didn't deliver results. By stripping down the noise and creating a lean, effective strength training guide, a simple product was born. It was clear, it was proven, and it filled a gap. No complex infrastructure, no massive marketing budget, just a website, a product, and a checkout process. It didn't need to scale to millions. It needed to generate consistent, manageable income while running in the background. Creating a muse involves understanding that people don't need more information. They need specific answers. The best muse products are direct and result-oriented. They save time, reduce stress, or increase efficiency. That means the packaging, the offer, and the positioning need to be laser-focused. A product should never try to appeal to everyone. It should target a clear segment of people with a defined pain point and offer them exactly what they're looking for in the shortest time possible. Marketing a muse is just as focused. It doesn't rely on broad awareness or slow organic growth. Instead, it uses direct response principles. A sales page that clearly outlines benefits, includes compelling proof, and gives buyers confidence to act immediately. Risk reversal techniques like guarantees, testimonials, or sample access remove hesitation. A good muse doesn't need to be sold hard. It should naturally attract the right customer by hitting the right nerve. Beyond the product and the pitch, automation is essential. The systems that support the muse must be hands-off. Order processing, email responses, delivery, everything is set up to function without manual input. This includes using tools like autoresponders, payment gateways, digital delivery platforms, and outsourced customer support. The less time you spend inside your business, the more successful your muse becomes. The goal isn't control, it's design. Testing is another critical part of the process. Rather than investing months perfecting a product before launch, the focus is on releasing quickly, gathering feedback, and refining. Early versions don't need to be perfect. They need to be good enough to validate interest and confirm that people will pay. If the offer falls flat, it's improved or scrapped. There's no ego in the process, just iteration. Geo-arbitrage also plays a strategic role. If you can earn income in strong currencies like dollars or euros while living in countries with lower costs of living, you multiply your financial freedom. Moving business operations overseas or working remotely from less expensive regions gives you more room to experiment, save, and invest. The combination of a lean muse and low living expenses means you don't need to earn massive amounts to live well. It's not uncommon for a single muse to generate a few $1,000s a month in profit. For many, that's more than enough to replace a job. And because it's automated, that income doesn't come with stress, long hours, or constant oversight. Once one muse works, building another becomes easier. The process gets faster, confidence grows. Eventually, there's a portfolio of micro-businesses, each producing reliable income with minimal effort. Most people think entrepreneurship is about building something huge. But the muse model proves that small, quiet wins can be more powerful. You don't need venture capital, you don't need a giant team, and you don't need 100,000 customers. You need one clear offer, one effective product, and a system that handles the rest. A muse changes how you think about work. You stop measuring success by how busy you are or how many hours you've logged. You start focusing on results. The mental shift is critical, from worker to designer, from operator to owner. Instead of being your own employee, you become your own architect. Your role isn't to execute every task, it's to build the machine that does. There's no one-size-fits-all formula, but the principles are universal. Solve a real problem, launch quickly, automate everything, and stay lean. Avoid unnecessary complexity. Don't scale until you've proven the model. Don't chase prestige. Focus on freedom. Building a muse doesn't mean never working again. It means never being forced to work again. It gives you space. It gives you choice. You can travel, build other projects, learn new skills, or do nothing at all. Income becomes a byproduct of smart design, not sacrifice. In the end, a muse isn't just a business. It's a philosophy. It's a commitment to living intentionally, earning intelligently, and escaping the false belief that effort is the only path to wealth. It's proof that small strategic moves can give you back your time, your energy, and your freedom. Chapter 11, Income Autopilot 3, MBA, Management by Absence, Building a Muse and Testing It Successfully are major milestones. But true freedom only comes when you step away entirely and your business keeps running smoothly without your daily involvement. This is the essence of management by absence, or MBA. It's not about neglecting your responsibilities, but about designing your business to operate independently of you, so you can reclaim your time and focus on what really matters. The challenge is learning to let go of control, trusting others, and creating robust systems that don't collapse when you're not there. Most entrepreneurs, especially founders who started alone, struggle with this concept. They believe that if they're not personally involved in every decision or detail, everything will fall apart. This mindset turns them into bottlenecks and micromanagers, slaves to their own businesses. Instead of gaining freedom, they become more tied down. MBA flips that dynamic entirely. It requires you to design repeatable processes, delegate authority, and build accountability so your business runs seamlessly without constant supervision. The very first step toward MBA is documenting everything. Every routine task, every decision process, every workflow needs to be captured in detail. Nothing should be stored only in your head or passed on by word of mouth. This documentation becomes your operations manual, the single source of truth anyone on your team can follow. It removes tribal knowledge and ensures that problems don't halt progress waiting for your input. When a challenge arises, your team consults the system, takes initiative, and keeps things moving. While documenting systems might seem tedious or trivial, it is absolutely essential. When I began doing this, I uncovered countless inefficiencies and bottlenecks hidden in everyday work. Tasks I performed instinctively were massive time sinks because I never showed anyone else how to handle them properly. Writing clear step-by-step instructions, creating video walkthroughs, and mapping decision trees freed my time and built scalable processes. Most importantly, it empowered assistants and contractors to work confidently without needing me to babysit them. Delegation follows naturally after documentation, but it goes far beyond simply handing off tasks. It's about recruiting the right people, reliable, proactive individuals who can solve problems independently. Not everyone fits that profile, which is why hiring and training are critical. Bringing on a team member who needs constant supervision costs you more in time and stress than doing the work yourself. MBA requires upfront investment in recruiting and onboarding, but it pays dividends over time. Once you have detailed systems and a trusted team, you begin to give up control gradually. At first, you might check every action, double-check every decision, and feel anxious about letting go. That's normal. But MBA means setting up checkpoints, dashboards, reports, key performance indicators that allow you to monitor outcomes without micromanaging processes. Instead of controlling every step, you focus on results. For example, if you run an online business selling digital products, you don't approve every customer support email. Instead, you train your support team, provide templates and scripts for common issues, and set metrics like response time and customer satisfaction. Weekly reports give you a clear view of business health, and you only intervene if something unusual arises. This approach frees you from drowning in daily details but lets you stay informed. Clear expectations and boundaries are another cornerstone of MBA. Your team must know their responsibilities, deadlines, and decision-making limits. Empower them to act within their scope and hold them accountable for results. Without this clarity, employees either wait for instructions or make decisions that cause confusion. Both situations turn you back into the bottleneck. Defined roles, communication protocols, and accountability create agility and resilience in your operations. Technology plays an outsized role in enabling MBA. Project management tools, automated workflows, cloud-based collaboration platforms, and real-time analytics help dispersed teams stay coordinated and transparent. Automation reduces repetitive work, and monitoring tools give you instant insight into key metrics. Technology doesn't replace leadership, but it amplifies your ability to manage from a distance. One of the most powerful effects of MBA is how it forces you to focus on what truly matters. When you're no longer buried in daily tasks, you gain time to think strategically, explore new opportunities, and refine your systems. Instead of reacting to crises, you prevent them. Instead of firefighting, you innovate. MBA transforms your business from a burden into an asset. The transition is rarely smooth or painless. You will face resistance from yourself and your team. Letting go of control feels risky. You worry about quality, trust, and loss of relevance. Your team may make mistakes or solve problems slower than you would, but this is growth. Every error is a lesson that improves your systems and training. Over time, your confidence grows as you see your business thrive without your constant presence. Many entrepreneurs never reach this stage because they equate involvement with value. They confuse busyness with productivity. They believe they are indispensable and fear that stepping back means losing control or significance. The reality is the opposite. Managing by absence increases your leverage and multiplies your impact. It frees you to do higher value work or simply live life on your terms. MBA is the essence of entrepreneurship, building something that works without your constant input. It separates lifestyle businesses from true assets. It lays the foundation for scaling, selling, and enduring success. To implement MBA, start small. Pick one area of your business that can be systematized and delegated this week. Write detailed instructions, train someone, monitor results, and refine. Repeat with the next task. Gradually, you shift from operator to manager to absent owner. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, but progress. MBA is a journey, not a destination. It requires discipline, trust, and patience. But when you get there, you reclaim your most valuable resource, time, and unlock genuine freedom. Businesses that thrive long-term aren't run by heroic founders working nonstop. They're built to run themselves. They survive when their founders disappear for weeks, top months, or years. That's the power of management by absence. When your business no longer needs you every minute, you become unstoppable. You can travel, you can create, you can live. You've built a system that serves you, not the other way around. That is the ultimate stage of income autopilot, the freedom to live life on your own terms. Chapter 13, Beyond Repair, Killing Your Job. For most people, the idea of quitting their job without having a safety net feels reckless, even irresponsible. Society teaches us to cling tightly to the security of a paycheck, benefits, and the illusion of steady progress. But holding on to a job that drains your time, energy, and dreams is a slow death, a permanent trap disguised as stability. To truly escape the cycle of overwork and underdelivery, sometimes you have to kill the job. You have to accept that what you're doing is beyond repair, and it's time to walk away before it destroys you. This is not a call to reckless quitting or blind leaps into the unknown. It's a deliberate, strategic decision. It's about recognizing the cost of staying to your health, your relationships, your freedom, and comparing it to the cost of leaving. It's about realizing that the security of a job is often a mirage, and that real security comes from owning your time, your income, and your life. Jobs, especially traditional ones, come with invisible chains. They demand your presence, your compliance, your unquestioning commitment to someone else's vision. Your time becomes theirs. Your goals become secondary. The endless cycle of emails, meetings, office politics, and performance reviews chips away at your sense of autonomy. Many jobs are no longer just work. They are a trap that limits your ability to grow, learn, and pursue what matters most. Recognizing that your job is beyond repair means confronting uncomfortable truths. It means accepting that no amount of negotiation, no shift in attitude, no tweak in schedule will change the fundamental structure that controls you. Sometimes the job itself is the problem, not just your attitude toward it. Trying to fix a broken system from inside is like patching a sinking ship with duct tape. The leaks keep coming. The first step to killing your job is mental. Shifting your mindset from employee to owner. This means seeing your life as something you control, not something controlled by a boss, a schedule, or an office culture. It means understanding that your value isn't tied to a job title or a paycheck, but to your skills, your creativity, and your willingness to create new opportunities. This mindset shift also means embracing risk differently. The fear of losing income, benefits, or social status is real, but it's often overstated. What feels like risk can actually be opportunity in disguise. Many people live in far more precarious situations, debt, health issues, toxic environments, without the security of a job. Stepping away from a bad job is a choice for freedom, not an abandonment of responsibility. Planning is crucial. Killing your job isn't a reckless jump into the dark. It's a calculated transition. This means building alternative income streams before you leave, reducing expenses, paying off debt, and creating buffers that protect you. It means knowing what you want next, whether that's entrepreneurship, freelancing, remote work, or simply a sabbatical to rethink your path. One of the hardest parts of killing your job is overcoming social conditioning. Friends, family, and colleagues often resist or question your choice because they're trapped in the same system. They may warn you about the risks, call you irresponsible, or push you back into compliance. Breaking free means setting boundaries and trusting your own judgment. It means embracing uncertainty as a necessary step toward growth. Killing your job is also about replacing it with something better, not just financially, but in quality of life. The goal isn't just to earn money, it's to earn freedom. Freedom to choose where, when, and how you work. Freedom to spend your time on what energizes you. Freedom to design a life that aligns with your values, passions, and goals. This often means embracing unconventional paths. Entrepreneurship isn't the only way, but it's the most common route to reclaiming autonomy. Building a muse, freelancing, consulting, creating digital products, or working remotely can all provide alternatives to the 9-to-5 grind. These paths require effort, learning, and sometimes failure, but they also offer growth and flexibility unavailable in most jobs. To kill your job effectively, you have to dismantle psychological dependencies. Many people define themselves by their job roles, their identity, their social standing, even their self-worth. Letting go of that identity is painful, but liberating. It opens space to explore new possibilities and reinvent yourself. It means understanding that your value extends far beyond your employer's label. Another trap is comfort. Even bad jobs provide routines, predictability, and familiar environments. Leaving that comfort zone is scary. It means embracing ambiguity, uncertainty, and potential failure. But staying comfortable in misery is a slow form of death. Growth begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Timing is also important. You don't need to quit today, but you do need to start moving toward freedom now. Even small steps, learning new skills, saving money, exploring side projects, create momentum. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. Jobs often become prisons, not just because of external constraints, but because of internal habits. Breaking those habits is the key to killing the job. Financial independence plays a central role. The more control you have over your income sources, the easier it is to leave your job without fear. Building savings, diversifying income, and reducing expenses all increase your options. Financial security is not about hoarding money, but about creating freedom of choice. Killing your job also means preparing for the emotional roller coaster ahead. The initial relief of leaving can quickly be replaced by doubt, anxiety, or loneliness. You may face unexpected challenges and setbacks. Having support networks, friends, mentors, communities helps you navigate these hurdles. You learn resilience by facing fears and persisting. One powerful way to ease the transition is to create a safety net through passive or semi-passive income streams. Building a muse or small business that generates income independently lets you test the waters before fully quitting. It reduces pressure and gives you options if things don't go as planned. This approach aligns with the broader philosophy of designing your work and income for maximum freedom and minimal dependency. Killing your job is a revolutionary act in today's world. It challenges norms and expectations. It rejects the idea that work must consume your life or define your identity. It's a radical reclaiming of autonomy, creativity, and purpose. Those who do it don't just change their own lives, they inspire others to rethink what's possible. In the end, killing your job is about taking ownership. It's about refusing to settle for a life where your time, energy, and potential are squandered. It's about building a life that you control, on your terms, with freedom as the ultimate goal. The process is difficult, the path uncertain, but the reward is worth every sacrifice. A life beyond repair, not broken, but rebuilt anew. Chapter 14, Mini Retirements, Embracing the Mobile Lifestyle. Retirement usually feels like some far-off event at the end of a long career, something vague and distant you hope to reach one day. The common advice is to grind hard now, save money, and maybe get a few years of relaxation when you're too old to do much else. But what if you didn't have to wait decades to enjoy freedom? What if you could spread that freedom out in smaller, more frequent breaks throughout your life? That's the idea behind mini retirements. Taking intentional pauses from work to fully live, explore new places, and recharge your energy multiple times, not just once at the end. Mini retirements flip the traditional retirement idea on its head. Instead of waiting until your 60s or later to stop working, you take longer breaks every few years. These breaks can be anywhere from weeks to months or even a year, depending on what fits your life. The goal is to avoid burnout by stepping off the treadmill early, to experience different cultures while you still have energy, and to reconnect with what matters. Rather than sacrificing your whole youth for a someday dream, you reclaim parts of your life now, building a lifestyle of balance, adventure, and meaning. At its core, mini retirements are about freedom and mobility. It's not just about physically moving from place to place, but freeing your mind from the idea that work has to dominate your life or that you have to follow a set timeline. You design a life on your terms, where work supports your goals rather than traps you. The biggest hurdle is mental conditioning. Most people see long breaks as irresponsible or risky. Society praises constant hustle, pushing people to burnout, chasing vague future rewards. Mini retirements challenge this by showing that regular and planned pauses actually improve life quality and boost long-term creativity and productivity. Planning a mini retirement isn't just booking a trip and leaving. It demands financial readiness, logistics, and clear intentions. Unlike traditional retirement, often marked by uncertainty and inactivity, mini retirements are active and deliberate. You pick places that inspire you, projects or hobbies that fulfill you, and experiences that broaden your view. Financial independence is key. To take extended time off without jeopardizing your income, you need work or income streams that don't tie you to a location. Digital businesses, remote freelancing, smart investments, or small automated earnings. Without this, mini retirements stay a distant dream. You also need to change how you view work. Instead of linking your worth to constant productivity or job titles, you learn to value rest, exploration, and growth. You take on projects that excite you, ditch unnecessary obligations, and avoid toxic workplaces. This shift builds resilience, and balance. Mini retirements often go hand in hand with minimalism and downsizing. Carrying less, simplifying life, and cutting fixed costs make it easier to move frequently. Living out of a suitcase may sound tough, but it frees you from clutter and attachment, letting you focus on experiences over possessions. Another benefit is deep cultural immersion. Rather than rushing through tourist spots, you spend meaningful time living in new places, learning local customs and languages. This enriches your understanding, sparks creativity, and grows empathy, valuable in life and work. Health improves too. Leaving stressful jobs, spending time outdoors, staying active, and eating fresh local food boost physical and mental well-being. Regular breaks prevent burnout and build emotional strength, improving happiness overall. Socially, mini retirements open doors to new connections and communities. Meeting diverse people breaks work isolation, expands your network, and often leads to unexpected opportunities and friendships. Of course, this lifestyle requires courage and flexibility. You face challenges like visas, healthcare, housing, and adapting new cultures. You must be ready to solve problems and step outside your comfort zone regularly. But these struggles are part of the growth that makes mini retirements rewarding. A myth is that mini retirements need massive savings or extreme frugality. While money matters, smart planning, geo-arbitrage, living cheaply while earning well, and focusing spending on meaningful experiences make them attainable for many. It's about choosing freedom and fulfillment over status and stuff. Mini retirements make you rethink time itself. Instead of counting life in decades and delayed milestones, you live in cycles and seasons. You build rhythms of work and rest that fit your energy and passions, making work sustainable and life richer with variety and purpose. This lifestyle isn't about dodging responsibility, it's about owning it on your terms. You control your time, priorities, and environment. You design a life where work, travel, rest, and growth all fit together. You reject the false choice between work and play, blending them into something meaningful. By embracing mini retirements, you become your own guide and architect. You listen to your needs and respond with intention. You stop postponing life and start living it fully right now. In the end, mini retirements say life is too valuable to wait. Freedom is worth the effort. Your best years aren't behind you. They're unfolding continuously. This lifestyle rewrites the story of work and retirement, mixing adventure, rest, and purpose in a lifelong journey. It's liberation, financially, geographically, emotionally, and spiritually. A life where work serves your freedom, not enslaves it. Every chapter includes space for exploration, reflection, and joy. A life lived not in waiting, but in conscious presence. Many retirements invite you to live on your own terms, to leap into the unknown and savor a mobile, intentional, fully alive existence. Chapter 15, Filling the Void, Adding Life After Subtracting Work. Breaking free from the constraints of a traditional 9-to-5 job and taking control of your own time can feel like a victory. The moment you walk away from the relentless demands of office politics, endless meetings, and the pressure of constant productivity, a rush of liberation floods in. You finally have space to breathe, to think, to live. But as the initial excitement wears off, many face an unexpected challenge: the void. A profound emptiness that settles in when work no longer structures your days, fills your identity, or drives your purpose. The life you once knew is gone, but the new one isn't yet clear. Suddenly the question becomes, what do I fill this space with? How do I create a life worth living when I've subtracted the thing that took so much of my time and energy? This void isn't a sign of failure or weakness. It's an essential stage of transformation. For years, perhaps decades, work defined much of your existence. It set your schedule, gave you goals to chase, and shaped your social circles. You were someone's employee, a title holder, a cog in a system. When that framework disappears, you're left naked with yourself, your true self, and that can be terrifying. Without intentional action, the void can quickly become a trap. Boredom, restlessness, and a creeping sense of purposelessness can sneak in. But this emptiness also carries incredible potential. It's a blank slate waiting to be painted with new colors, patterns, and stories. Filling the void means more than just keeping busy or distracting yourself with trivial tasks. It means adding life, richness, meaning, joy, connection. True freedom isn't simply the absence of work, it's the presence of something deeper and more fulfilling. The process starts with slowing down and tuning in. In the silence left by work, you hear your own desires, fears, and hopes more clearly. What excites you? What drains you? What passions have you buried under years of obligation? What parts of yourself have you neglected? The void invites you to ask these questions honestly and explore without judgment. One of the most powerful ways to fill your days is by reconnecting with passions and hobbies that may have been sidelined or forgotten. The routines of a traditional job often leave little time or energy for creative expression or playful exploration. Painting, writing, music, cooking, gardening, sports. These activities feed the soul and expand your sense of identity beyond your former job title. Rediscovering old hobbies or trying new ones can reignite enthusiasm and bring a sense of accomplishment that feels authentic and personal. However, filling the void isn't just an individual journey. It's deeply social. Work often provides a social network, colleagues, clients, industry contacts, that fades when you leave. The sudden absence of this social fabric can feel isolating, compounding the emptiness. Purposeful effort is needed to rebuild your social world in new ways. This might mean reconnecting with old friends or family members you've drifted from, joining clubs or groups aligned with your interests, volunteering, or engaging in community projects. Human connection is a fundamental pillar of a meaningful life, and nurturing it replenishes the void with warmth, support, and inspiration. Physical health is another cornerstone. Freed from the sedentary, stressful habits work often imposes, you now have the opportunity to invest deeply in your body. Exercise, yoga, hiking, mindful movement. These aren't just activities, but essential practices that restore energy, improve mood, and sharpen focus. Nourishing your body with whole, fresh foods and prioritizing rest and sleep also transform your overall well-being. Taking care of your physical self creates a positive feedback loop that supports mental clarity and emotional balance, making the transition out of work not just bearable, but empowering. Intellectual curiosity flourishes when you have the freedom to explore without deadlines or grade pressure. Filling the void means committing to lifelong learning, diving into books, taking courses, attending lectures, learning new skills or languages, engaging in stimulating conversations. This intellectual expansion keeps your mind agile, opens doors to new possibilities, and offers a profound sense of progress and growth that transcends professional achievement. Perhaps the deepest need in filling the void is finding purpose. While hobbies and social connections fill your time and provide joy, purpose grounds you. It gives your days direction and your efforts meaning. Purpose doesn't have to be monumental or world-changing. It can be as simple as mentoring, creating art, supporting causes you care about, or contributing to your community. Purpose anchors your life in values larger than yourself and fuels resilience in moments of doubt or difficulty. Giving back emerges as a powerful avenue for purpose. Many who leave traditional work discover a renewed passion for volunteering, charity, or activism. These pursuits connect you to others' needs and struggles, fostering empathy, gratitude, and a sense of impact. Engaging with meaningful causes enriches your life with connection and significance that no paycheck can provide. Financial freedom gained from leaving the grind allows you to reconsider consumption patterns and lifestyle choices. Without the pressure to chase status or buy more possessions, many find liberation in minimalism. Simplifying your physical environment and expenses reduces stress and creates space for what truly enriches you. Living intentionally, valuing experiences over things, supports both emotional clarity and practical freedom to move and explore. Mindfulness and presence become essential tools in filling the void. The temptation to fill every moment with activity or distraction is strong, but cultivating stillness and reflection deepens your experience of life. Practices like meditation, journaling, or simply observing nature invite you to savor each moment and foster gratitude. Presence transforms freedom from a concept into a felt reality, enriching even the simplest parts of your day. Transitioning away from work also demands reshaping your identity. Without job titles or professional roles, many struggle with questions of self-worth and meaning. This phase invites a redefinition based on your values, interests, relationships, and contributions, rather than external labels. It's a chance to embrace your full, authentic self, complex, evolving, and multifaceted. Intentional daily routines help structure this new life. Freedom without structure can drift into aimlessness or lethargy. Creating flexible routines that balance activity with rest, social time with solitude, and productivity with play provides grounding. These routines aren't rigid prisons, but supportive frameworks that adapt as your needs evolve. Technology offers tremendous opportunities, but also risks overwhelming. It connects you to communities, learning, and creativity, yet constant digital noise can fragment attention and steal presence. Mindful management of your digital habits, limiting social media, avoiding news overload, prioritizing meaningful use, preserves mental clarity and focus on what truly matters. Financial stewardship remains vital. Without steady employment income, budgeting, saving, investing, and planning become tools to maintain security and opportunity. Managing your resources wisely ensures your freedom remains sustainable rather than precarious. Embracing uncertainty and change is crucial. Life beyond work is rarely predictable or linear. New interests, relationships, and challenges continuously arise. Flexibility, openness, and curiosity allow you to adapt and thrive. The unknown becomes a source of excitement rather than fear. Remember, filling the void is an ongoing process. Your desires and circumstances will shift, requiring ongoing attention and adjustment. What nourishes you today may change tomorrow. Remaining attuned to yourself and your environment keeps your life vibrant and meaningful. Breaking free from work creates space that may initially feel empty, but emptiness is fertile ground. With intentionality, the void becomes a canvas for rebirth. By adding passions, relationships, purpose, care, and presence, you transform freedom from an absence of work into the presence of life. You step into a new chapter, not defined by obligations, but by choice, not by busyness, but by presence, not by survival, but by thriving. Filling the void is reclaiming your life, fully, richly, and on your own terms. Chapter 16, The Top 13 New Rich Mistakes, How to Avoid Common Failures. When people hear about the new rich, they often picture a life of effortless wealth, endless travel, and ultimate freedom. The new rich are those who have rejected the old-fashioned 9-to-5 grind in favor of designing lives centered on time, mobility, and purposeful work. It sounds ideal, but the reality is far more complex. Success in this lifestyle isn't automatic. It requires navigating a labyrinth of common mistakes that can derail even the most motivated individuals. Understanding these pitfalls and how to avoid them is crucial for building a sustainable and fulfilling life of freedom. The first and most common mistake is confusing busyness with productivity. Many fall into the trap of filling every hour with activity, constantly answering emails, juggling multiple projects, or chasing every opportunity that comes their way. It feels like progress because they are doing something, but in truth, busyness often masks inefficiency and distraction. Productivity isn't measured by how busy you are, but by the impact of your actions. Real productivity focuses on the vital few tasks that move you closer to your goals and eliminate the trivial many. The new rich learn to ruthlessly prioritize, cutting out work that doesn't create meaningful results. This discipline is the foundation of true freedom because it liberates time and energy for what matters. Another critical error is failing to define clear goals. Without a precise vision of what you want your life to look like, it's easy to wander aimlessly or get sidetracked by other people's agendas. The new rich lifestyle isn't a vague dream of freedom or travel, but a specific blueprint that answers key questions. Where do you want to live? How much time do you want to spend working? What level of income supports your ideal lifestyle? Clarity in these areas shapes decisions, habits, and daily actions. Vague intentions lead to wasted effort and confusion. Defining your goals sharply acts as a compass, guiding you through the distractions and temptations of modern life. The third mistake is misunderstanding the role of money. Many aspiring new rich either obsess over accumulating wealth without focusing on how to convert it into freedom or underestimate the financial discipline needed to sustain their lifestyle. Money is a tool, not the end goal. Overspending, accruing debt, or ignoring savings can quickly sabotage your independence. The balance lies in managing money wisely, living below your means, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and investing in income-generating assets or automated systems. The new rich treat money as a servant that enables their freedom rather than a master that enslaves them. Fourth, ignoring the power of automation and outsourcing is a huge mistake. Attempting to do everything yourself inevitably leads to overwhelm and burnout. The new rich leverage technology and other people's skills to free their time and scale their impact. Building systems, delegating routine tasks, and creating muses, businesses or income streams that earn money with minimal hands-on involvement are essential strategies. Without these tools, freedom remains an illusion because you are still chained to your work. Starting small by outsourcing menial tasks like email management or customer service can dramatically increase your capacity and peace of mind. Selective ignorance, the fifth common error, is often overlooked but critical. In an age of information overload, trying to absorb everything leads to distraction and decision paralysis. The new rich adopt a strict information diet, focusing only on what directly supports their goals and ignoring or deleting the rest. This means avoiding constant news consumption, social media noise, and unnecessary emails. Developing the discipline to filter out irrelevant or negative information sharpens focus, reduces stress, and protects your mental bandwidth for creative and strategic thinking. The sixth mistake is underestimating the importance of mindset. Transitioning from a conventional career to a lifestyle of freedom demands confronting deep-seated fears, doubts, and societal conditioning. Many people get stuck in fear-setting paralysis, overanalyzing worst-case scenarios and potential failures. While caution is prudent, letting fear dominate your decisions keeps you trapped in your comfort zone. Cultivating a mindset of calculated risk-taking, resilience, and viewing failures as learning experiences is crucial. The new rich build confidence through small wins and continuously challenge their limiting beliefs. This mental toughness is as important as any business strategy or financial plan. Seventh, failing to negotiate and communicate effectively is a mistake that can cost time, money, and relationships. Whether freelancing, managing remote teams, or dealing with clients, poor communication leads to misunderstandings, missed opportunities, and wasted effort. The new rich succeed by setting clear expectations, boundaries, and deadlines. They are assertive and transparent, walking away from deals or roles that don't align with their values or goals. Negotiation is not just about money, it's about protecting your time and energy to maintain freedom. Eighth, clinging to old habits and environments sabotages progress. Letting go of the traditional office mindset, rigid schedules, or toxic relationships is essential. Holding on to these patterns pulls you back into the very systems you seek to escape. The new rich cultivate environments that support their freedom, whether that means working from inspiring locations, surrounding themselves with supportive peers, or designing spaces that fuel creativity. Being ruthless about eliminating distractions and negative influences helps maintain momentum. Neglecting health and wellness is the ninth big mistake. Freedom means little if your body and mind aren't healthy enough to enjoy it. Stress, poor nutrition, inactivity, and burnout are common traps. The new rich prioritize their physical and mental well-being as foundational. Regular exercise, balanced diet, mindfulness practices, and adequate sleep fuel energy, creativity, and resilience. Without health, your freedom can quickly become meaningless. The 10th mistake is ignoring the need for continual learning and adaptation. The path of freedom is never static. Markets shift, technologies evolve, and personal priorities change. Stagnation leads to irrelevance. Those who thrive embrace curiosity and lifelong learning. They experiment with new business models, update skills, and pivot when necessary. Openness to change and willingness to learn are hallmarks of sustained success. Overvaluing short-term gains at the expense of long-term freedom is the 11th mistake. The temptation to chase quick money or status can divert you from building sustainable income and lifestyle design. The new rich focus on creating scalable, passive, or automated income streams that support lasting independence. Avoid get-rich-quick schemes and overcommitment to projects that consume time without building equity. Patience and strategic thinking win in the long run. 12th, failing to build social capital limits growth. Freedom doesn't mean isolation. The new rich nurture networks of mentors, peers, and collaborators who challenge, inspire, and support them. Meaningful relationships open doors to opportunities and provide emotional resources during challenges. Investing in community, both online and offline, strengthens your foundation. Finally, resisting experimentation and creativity is a trap that stifles innovation. The new rich treat their lifestyle and businesses as ongoing experiments. They test new ideas, routines, technologies, and locations. Failure is reframed as feedback, not defeat. This playful curiosity allows continuous improvement and prevents stagnation. Rigid thinking and fear of failure are enemies of freedom. Avoiding these 13 mistakes requires awareness, discipline, and intentionality. Freedom isn't just about breaking rules, it's about building new habits and mindsets that serve your goals. By learning from others' missteps and cultivating these practices, you can design a sustainable, fulfilling life where work supports your dreams instead of consuming you. The journey to becoming new rich is not easy, but the rewards, time freedom, financial independence, and living intentionally are profound. Keep these lessons close, and you'll navigate the path with greater confidence and clarity. In doing so, you join a growing movement of people who reject outdated norms and create lives of real freedom and joy.